we'll have a question and answer session at the end. So I'm going first to introduce you to Mrs. Ngum Melvis Njualem, who is a seasoned Cameroonian English language teacher with over 10 years of experience in the secondary and postgraduate level. She is an executive member of the Association of English Language Teachers in Northwest Region, Cameroon. So please, guys, welcome Mrs. Ngum Melvis Njualem for her presentation. Melly, you have the floor.
All right. Hello, everybody. Accept greetings from Cameroon. We are all welcome. It's a rare privilege for us to share this experience. We're supposed to be Wandji, Sandrine, and I, but for reasons beyond her control, she cannot be here. That notwithstanding, I'll be with you sharing this experience. Our topic is using critical thinking activities to enhance speaking skills. Now, this whole inspiration came from that desire to get answers to some questions that were bothering us, especially when it came to teaching speaking in our classrooms. Usually it was difficult to get participants to take part in maybe dialogues and
Please,
other
Melly,
oral activities. Yes, please.
can you put on your camera?
Oh.
Okay, so if not, you can move on. Just
yeah, I did.
Yes, keep going if it's not on.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Okay. So I was saying we are presenting this. We all came out from that curiosity on how to better enhance teaching of speaking skills in our classroom. And we got inspiration from a number of sources. There was the British Council Facebook page. We had the work of Graham Stanley, use of oral synchronous intercultural exchanges, as well as Herbert Butcher, the Thinking Training Series. So we got inspiration from all of those. We actually went into the classroom. We incorporated their proposed activities. And so we'll be presenting to you, first of all, the activities we carried out, and then we'll have the demo lesson of what we actually did in the classroom. Okay, so our session for today, we're going to break it up into 4. In the first place, we're going to talk a little bit about our learners so we understand our context, our background, where we are coming from. We'll have the critical thinking activities that caught our attention. We'll equally have a demo lesson from and finally, we're going to present to you the transformations we had in our classroom. To begin with, who are our learners? Now, in this part of Cameroon, well, it's not news, we are in a bilingual country, and in a country, in the region where we actually work presently, it's a English language speaking predominant background, but our learners are Francophones living in this context. So they have an approximately high level of English, though they make use of Pidgin English more in their daily lives. And their background somehow makes them very good at memorization. They do a lot of memorization. For instance, you could ask a learner to maybe talk about what they have. They will tell you, they can recite, I have, you have, he or she has, but they'll hardly ever be able to actually use that in sentences of their own. Or I had this experience, if you meet a learner in the hallway, it's difficult. They may know the word good morning, but they don't know whether to say good morning or good afternoon. So that is the challenge we're facing. And like, as I already mentioned, we came across this critical thinking activities, which we'll be presenting, that could actually prompt learners to speak in the classroom. So the first, we had describing visuals, just what we do every day. You can actually put some image on your chest so that the learners can look at them and talk about the pictures. We have the why because activity. So here a learner makes a statement about an area of interest, and another learner is going to ask them why or ask further questions about their interests, and they justify their answers. We equally have the witness game. It's very, very interesting game. You have to split your class or make learners be in groups of A and B. So one group acts as the witness, the other group as a police officer. You present pictures to them, so the witnesses, they observe, they describe without the knowledge of the police officer. And at the end, the police officer will have to listen to their description to determine which picture was described. It's really, really interesting. We also have the STEM sentences. Here, the teacher kind of provides sentences, stems let's say in a particular domain, you want to teach maybe the simple present tense, you want to emphasize on routines, you can provide stems like on Mondays, I do this, on Tuesdays, on Sundays, and all of that. So those STEM sentences enable the learners to come up with sentences of their own. Now we looked at stories. This was actually inspired by the thinking train, because here they come up with this idea of telling a story, and at the end you have some activities that get learners thinking, like maybe predicting, like justifying, like sharing with other people. Then we have a ranking. So this was also one great activity. It's all about a learner talking about their interests. You give a group of words, and the learner have to put those words in a particular order of importance in terms of meaning to the learner. So these were the activities we came across, and we wanted to bring them into the classroom. So we got into our curriculum. So we have the scheme of work here in Cameroon. We don't teach lessons in isolation. We have to come from the curriculum. We looked at this particular module, family and social life. And this particular situation was interesting to us because we wanted to get into that intercultural frame. We looked at participating in cultural and traditional manifestation. So that was a context in which we were looking at. They were learners of the second year of secondary school. We have there all of that information, and our lesson was going to last 19 minutes. Okay, so there, the title of our lesson was talking about the Bamileke culture. And our aim was that at the end of the lesson, the learner should be able to not just talk about the culture, but give their opinion on the cultural practices related to that culture. So in the first phase, we had a woman, and this woman is known as the word tennis. With this woman, the teacher actually samples a naming activity. It could be maybe the names of fruits, for example. The teacher could say orange. The learner is supposed to say maybe banana or all of that. The teacher demonstrates with that, and the learners now had to take over. So we did that, and the learners went on naming some cultural events in Cameroon. So that was how we got the learners' attention at the beginning of the lesson. Oh, so the first stage in lesson planning in Cameroon is discovery. And at this stage, we incorporated the describing visuals approach. The learners had to look at images They are all images related to cultural events in Cameroon. You see, we anchored that visual to the chest. We had about 2 or 3 of these images. They're in different areas in Cameroon, but much more from the Western region. Now we were interested in the Western region because that's where most of the learners hail from. And the learners at this stage, they had to describe the traditional regalia, the dressing of all of those people. And then they equally had to identify the geographical area from where these people wearing these dresses were coming from. So that was to enable them to begin taking part in the activity. And next, straight into our critical thinking activities. We started with the why, because activity. So we had the students make statements, still talking about the picture and justifying their activities. Okay, then we now broke the class into 2. So a student, that we had the witnesses who looked at the picture, they described them, and then the other people, the police officers, had to tell them what they were actually describing. So we have the example dialogue of what actually they actually presented on that day. Still at the stage of discovery, we had that short story, which we told. It was a story about a young girl in a village who was told about a pot that they were not allowed to touch it, some taboo kind of issue. And at the end, we asked the learners to tell us what they thought, because at the end, the girl decided on one day to touch that pot and nothing actually happened to her. So it was interesting to get the learners telling us, this is what we felt. Okay, stage 2, that we call it research. At this stage, we brought in the ranking activity. Now with the ranking activity, we get this list of words that are coming up. You can see the positive, collaborative, you see dignifying, and all of those. So the learners look at these words and they have to arrange these words in order of importance to them, like, and saying, what do you think a cultural event should portray? What do you think a cultural event should portray? So they had to put that in their own order. It was interesting to find them talking. Like, I remember one learner trying to say what neat meant to them, what colorful, say, oh, colorful, many colors, and all of that. So they were giving their opinions about what a cultural event should look like. Now, we gave out this, we brought in some STEM sentences at this stage too, to enable them express themselves. So they had those STEM sentences. It enabled them to actually form sentences and use them. Okay, so these are clues on how you can go about that activity in your class. You can put learners in pairs so that they actually discuss, see if they could come into agreement about a particular way. Maybe someone could say, I prefer kind to me should be the best option of high culture event should be. Another one could choose dignifying, another one could. And they actually did all of that in class. So it was really interesting. Okay, next we came to institutionalization, the witness game. Oh yeah, the witness game came up at this stage. So as we already said, you had to put the learners in 2 groups and you show them pictures. You show them pictures. Yeah, these are some of the pictures we show the learners. So the witnesses are the first to look at these pictures. They look at them and they have to describe the pictures to the police officer. Now, when they do their description, the police officers are free to ask more questions until they are certain they have an idea of what the picture would look like. And finally, we give a lineup of all 4 images to the police officers, and they are going to identify the particular image that the witnesses actually described. So it's, you see, it provokes a lot of speaking. Even those who hardly found time to speak, they were forced to struggle to say something because it engages the learners, especially with those pictures and the fact that it's like a game. So everybody is, wow, police officer, wow, I'm a witness and all of that. Okay. So yeah, we came to this stage. That was the evaluation. And we went back to our STEM sentences. So we wanted to measure how much these learners were going to say. And usually in a context, sometimes at this evaluation stage, people fall back to gap filling exercises, but we wanted to make it purely an oral expression lesson. So the task is for them to...
Melly, you have 10 minutes to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The task was for them to say what they think of the Bamileke cultural dance. So to enable them have what to say, we still came up with some STEM sentences. Yeah, it's like, in my opinion, I think I like the cultural dance because I think the Bamileke cultural dance is like this. I see your points, or I do not agree with you. Okay, now, for each of these activities, so since it was a dual lesson implementation in class, so while my colleague was presenting the lesson, I did the observations, and we could actually see at the level of describing visuals, the learners could link images to real life, like they were able to look at those pictures and say, okay, this is the part of the region where that came from. With the Why Because game, they actually showed that ability to reflect on their utterances. Instead of just saying, this is this, that is that, they had to think again about what they were saying. And with the Witness game, now it was that collectivity working together to solve a problem. So it was really interesting to see them carry out those activities. And the story, you see, they were able to question the cultural values because it was very true to them. It's something that happens in their community. So they were asking, is it for real? But why do we say that there is a skull here? Our father is living here. They were questioning all of those situations in real life. And then ranking, yeah, we saw that learners were now able to justify their points. That's where we come to the end of this presentation. I hope you find it useful. We have some references here, and the story that we shared in class can be found on the YouTube page. The story, we could get it there. Okay, thank you all once more for your keen attention. Ali, I don't know if you have some questions.
Yes, it's okay. Thank you, Melly, for your brilliant presentation. It was really engaging and very interesting and informative. So thank you everyone for reacting in the chat box. So if you have questions, we can move on, and I can still read some reactions from Fadidak, from Hasum. They are enjoying the presentation. So the Witness game, Emil Simfor said it is really engaging. He likes it. Fadidak also appreciates the Witness game. Hasum was talking about that he likes the approach that seems a bit different from ours here in Senegal. And Fadidak really enjoyed it by saying that this is our culture and enjoying the pictures also. Excellent presentation, Melvis, said Fadidak again. Jonathan Mulinda.
Thank you for that.
Yes. So mainly reaction, positive reaction for your presentation. And if you have questions, please, guys, we still have time. We have 7 minutes to go. If you have questions or reaction, you can just raise your hand and I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, I have a question.
That's who is talking.
Yes, Fadida. Okay, moderator first.
Fadidak, yes. Fadidak,
Yes,
you
this is
can.
Fadidak talking. Yeah, excellent presentation, Melvis.
Thank you.
And it was really interesting, especially when it has to do with speaking. And speaking is one of the activities or the skills that we neglect a lot in our English language classes, thinking that the students, they speak whenever we are doing every activity. So I was wondering in the role play, in the witness game, I was wondering if the students were swapped, if roles were swapped.
Okay, no, it wasn't swapped because
so that our students can experience what that's one. Then secondly, my second question was on the ranking. I wonder if there was like a correct answer that the teacher provided, that okay, this is the ranking that should be accepted.
Oh, yeah, with the ranking, there are no right or wrong answers. Remember, it's all about your opinion. It's thinking out of the box. It's not being stuck to what is said. So everybody has a right to an opinion. So if I could think that a cultural event should be colorful, another person will say, no, not colorful. Maybe it should be uniform and all of that. So we all have a right to our opinions. So that's right. So in that opinion, in that activity, you don't impose a particular answer.
That's right. Great. Thank you. So we have like 5 minutes to go.
Change roles in the rope.
Please, yes, we can move on to Marin, and please, guys, make it short. We have 5 minutes to go. Marin, yes, you have the floor. Marin, you have to unmute yourself. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's okay.
Thank you. I really appreciate the presentation, but in fact, I'm used to doing the same thing here, but my things are a little bit different. So what I do is most of the time with my students, I can put them a question saying, for example, do you like a father who doesn't care about your study, but he gives you money every day? Or sometimes I say, do you prefer a daddy who gives you whatever you want, but he doesn't care whether you go to school or not? And then from there, some students are really wise. They might say, no, we don't like such a father. We like a father who cares about both. He may give us money and at the same time may control whether we go to school or not. And some of them who are not really caring, they might say, no, I prefer such a father. I need somebody who will be giving me money every day and give me whatever I want. Whether I go to school or not, you should not care about it. So from there, it's really engaging. So every student has to say something. And from there, sometimes that can create a kind of argument. I mean, not violent, but they are talking. No, you know, it's not like that.
I know.
Yeah, this is what I often do.
Thank you.
Can I keep on or it's enough? Okay,
thank you, Marin. Yes. Sorry, I have to cut you off.
Okay, thanks for that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I have to give the floor to Johnson ABB. Maybe you can come up.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I must appreciate the presentation. Quite interesting, innovative. But my question is, how do you assess their speaking skills? Is it through what they write or simply through what they say?
Okay, great. So remember I said here most often the evaluations, they don't have room for oral communication. So we insisted in this lesson that even the evaluation should be oral. So we provided just those sentences, the stems, and that prompted the learners to use those stems to speak. So they were now speaking to the whole class. So our focus was not on grammar or correct usage. It was just to see that fluency. You know, you let go of yourself and just speak, irrespective of what you're saying or if you're saying it correctly or not. So it was just mainly to enhance fluency.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. So one last question
Hello.
we can take from the box. Do you always
Hello.
use picture from discovery phase from Kasum? Do you always
Hello.
use picture in the discovery phase? Please,
Oh,
guys.
yes, we, but it's not like a recommendation or it's not an imposed. You can use any of those activities at any stage of your lesson. It always depends on the teacher, what you want to. But at the discovery stage, you really want your lesson to be interesting. So I think a picture really captivates when you
Okay,
look at
good.
the picture, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Fosso,
Yeah, hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, we can get you.
Okay, okay, okay. Actually, it's not a question. I don't have a question. I just wanted to appreciate the effort that you have done, madam, that you have made. And say that is, I'm going along with Mr. Fadida, who was talking about neglecting the speaking skill most often when we are teaching. It's true that I joined when you had already started, but my preoccupation is at the level of the soft copy. I don't know whether we could have any PDF format at the end of your presentation. I believe it will help a lot.
Okay. Ali, how do we handle that, please?
That?
Yeah, there is a copy of this on the YouTube page. Yes, you could get that from there. But
yes, we will share it in the Facebook and also in the WhatsApp group. We'll share everything.
Okay, so that would be great.
Photo is my very close friend. Marvis, you can always send a copy for me, and I'll send it to him.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Fadida. You're always in my favor.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Okay, maybe we have we can take just one more question from Facebook Live, saying, can we teach speaking without associating it to listening? From Pierre Sakany.
No, I think those two go hand in glove. Though you're not focusing on listening, but you can't speak when you've not listened.
Okay. really tricky question.
That is it. The two go together. You have to listen to your teacher, you have to listen to the other classmates. And you see, we get all of those clues. The teacher needs to do a lot of moderating, in the classroom. If not, it gets a bit out of control. But that's the desire instead of having a dead class.
Thank you. That's very great. That's wonderful, Melly. And maybe I'll read a reaction from Facebook Live to wrap it up. Hey, dear presenter, I'm so happy to know that you're from a bilingual country in which language do learners speaking. And because I'm from Bukavu, DRC, here learners like to use L1 too much. Asking them to think in English and interact is difficult for them because after class they don't use English, especially for low levels. So basically congratulating you also and telling about the challenge also in DRC.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Yes, Melly, maybe a last word so we can move it on.
Okay, so I think speaking.
Can I say something?
Hello.
Sorry guys, we're running out of time. Just the last word from Melly and then we wrap up.
Okay. So it's my call that we do a lot more of a critical thinking. It's so frustrating here in my country. It affects people, not only in terms of academics, even out there in society. You don't just be a dummy. Everything they say, you just yes everywhere. We need those kind of people who can say, this is Black, but what if? Why not? That's the 21st century for us. We don't just have to, everything we just swallow in, It's not going to build a better world for us. Wow, I'm overwhelmed with this opportunity.
Yes, great. Thank you, Melly, for your great presentation. And thank you everybody for attending. This was a really great exchange from people, and I can see that people enjoyed it. Marine, Fadida, Khasum, Mashari, everybody who reacted. And thank you and see you next. Now time for the break. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye.